Miu last collection I didn't like at all. It was much spoken about with the aprons.
Yeah.
It was a lot of styling, but in terms of clothing, I wouldn't say Miu Miu
Yeah,
to me.
I just think Miu Miu leaves a bad taste in my mouth because obviously the quality is hot garbage. So
I didn't
there's
know.
that.
I don't buy Miu Miu. Okay, interesting to know. Yeah.
Yeah, the quality is like atrocious. So it's just like yeah. But this is the collection you're talking about, like Spring Summer 26 with the aprons and stuff that everyone's talking about. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I do like the styling though. I'm not gonna lie. I do like the style. I
Yeah.
just think Miu Miu is just overpriced and it's just like not that well made. It's just like what's the point?
Yes. Yes. There isn't much to talk about here on this.
I went to a punk music event and dodged some kids dressed in plastic garbage bags and safety pins, getting out of a latest model Mercedes.
That's it.
So do you know what's funny about like this goes back into what we were saying about designers not understanding like the true essence of the brands that they design for. It's the same thing with a lot of people don't actually understand the true essence of movements. So a lot of people use the word punk really loosely. Part
Yeah.
of being punk is being anti-establishment. You can't be that if you're super rich because to be super rich, you have to be so well within the establishment that like it's not physically possible for you to be punk. So the people turning being punk into an aesthetic and then getting out of like really expensive cars, wearing a trash bag with safety pins is hilarious. It's like
It is hilarious. Yeah.
it is quite funny. But
Yeah.
some people just don't understand. It's like there's more to it than just like wearing safety pins and like having a mohawk. It's like I have ripped jeans and my leather jacket has safety pins. I'm punk today. It's like
Yeah. I mean, punk is a state of mind also. Like, that's what you're.
yeah, another reason why it makes my skin crawl when they call. Wait, people call McQueen punk? Really? What's
Oh.
punk about what? That's strange. I think Galliano, you can make an argument for a few collections being punk, but McQueen is completely out of the question.
Yes. Yes. Punk in what way?
Yeah, punk is about DIY as well. That is true.
Yeah.
But it's also like DIY in every sense. Like when I think of punks, I think of misfits. They're like I said, anti-establishment. Like punks are the kind of people that don't pay for the train; they jump over the barriers. It's like so can you be a billionaire and be punk? Probably not. Like
For sure. Yeah.
your chauffeur is driving you to your event. That's not very punk, is it?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Marina Abramovich getting plastic surgery is punk. That's kitsch.
Yeah. That's also it.
That's kitsch. That's kitsch. That's not punk. In my opinion, is cheap clothing, torn clothes, or creative styling cues. Yeah,
No.
I think punk has to be more than that. I think I
Yeah.
just can't reduce punk to like an aesthetic only. I think punk
Not
has
at
to come
all.
with a certain way of being. It's like how you carry yourself. It's like how you. It's like the kind of music you listen to, the kind of things you're into. It's like your political leanings. Because
Yeah.
punk is also very political. So yeah, you can't be like, yeah, protect the billionaires, and then like that's just not punk. It's just not.
And I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it has so many layers to it. I was watching an interview of McLaren at the very beginning with Vivienne Westwood, and the genius behind that actually was not Vivienne Westwood, was McLaren, and I was so
Yeah, yeah,
surprised
yeah.
that he was such an intellectual, and then I mean, she learned a lot from him, and then of course she herself she had her own legacy, but I mean it's much more than safety pins and all that.
Yeah, it's also because like punk, like I said, is more than just the clothing.
Yes, yes,
And the thing about Vivienne Westwood is obviously she was focusing on the clothing, but she learned a lot of stuff from Malcolm, and then also Malcolm was the person that was managing all the punk artists at the time.
exactly.
So Malcolm really is the person who built the movement. What Vivienne Westwood did was like, handle the clothing side of things. But if we're talking about punk as a movement, that's really Malcolm. So yeah, it's because people reduce punk to clothing. That's why.
Say even just yeah.
Yeah. And like he managed a lot of people actually. Like people just think of like the Sex Pistols and stuff.
And she went further into saying one time in an interview that if it's
Mm.
culture, it should be understood and spoken by a minority. If it's the majority, it's not even culture. She went as far as to say when we talk about cultural things and true culture, most people are not even concerned about culture. So it is the minority, and I agree with her on this.
Yeah. And there's so many other like I talk about them all the time because no one talks about them. I don't know why, but people like let's say the Bromley contingent, right? Who they were like fans of like the Sex Pistols, and then they made their own group, and then they kind of were really, really iconic in like the punk movement. You had like Susie Sue and like people like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like talking about punk, because the conversations around it, I know they're going to annoy me. People are like, yeah, Sex Pistols, Vivienne Westwood, punk. And it's like, they're so, like, punk is just so much bigger than that. It's just like, and there were big punk movements, not just in London, like all around the world, that are really relevant to building the movement. So it's like, yeah. So maybe people reduce punk to clothing because Vivienne and Malcolm ultimately became part of the establishment. Yeah, definitely to an extent.
Yeah.
Definitely to an extent. But yeah.
But I mean, part of,
Anything.
and that is also questionable. It doesn't mean also because you are an activist and you eventually you make money out of it that you should, refuse that money and not want to create, your brand just to stay as an like she was always a rebel. She was an activist for environment. I mean, in herself, she was always very, very like true to herself. I would say. I don't think
Yeah.
because she made money and she created Vivienne Westwood in itself is not bad to make money because we are also living in a world that is ruled by money. We cannot do otherwise. So
Yeah.
I won't say she was really part of the establishment in a way that rich people really are. She didn't lose her authenticity.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then you have like more new romantics also that followed punk, which was also very interesting movement, the continuation of that.
Yeah, I do think these things also shift. So it's like, even let's say like punk is like how I see avant-garde. So it's like, if as a designer what you're doing is so different from the norm, then it's avant-garde. But then if so many people adopt it that it becomes the norm, it's no longer avant-garde.
Yes.
So it's kind of like it's circumstance dependent in a way.
Yes.
But a lot of these like words, people just put them permanently on people. So if you're like an avant-garde designer, you'll forever be an avant-garde designer, even when like your aesthetic becomes like the norm. Or like if you're a punk designer, you're forever going to be a punk designer. Even if you start making clean suits, people are going to be like, they're punk, it's punk suits. Even if they're just like plain suits, because that's the branding you've been given.
Yeah, but things shift and there are nuances to think. It's not like black or white or we have to give a title to it. Sometimes things change and it's normal.
Yeah.
It's part of the flow of things. I'm not happy with what's happening at Alaia. I don't know what will happen next.
Right.
Yeah, this same with Jill Sander. Like, why? I like what I was seeing.
Yeah, but well, apparently he's going to Versace, so
Yeah,
that's what everyone is saying. Mulier at Versace.
yeah.
What do you think about that in general? Like, do you think that Versace needs him? Do you think he's going to like take it in a very interesting direction? What do you think about that?
I have no clue. I mean, based on what I saw, I mean, he's a very experienced designer, obviously. He has worked a lot with Raf Simons. He has worked with different brands. Like, I don't know what I don't know what Versace wants to become now, that's the thing, because
That
it's
problem.
such like the aesthetic was like the continuity of her brother. I cannot imagine Versace differently. That's the problem. So I don't know he who was at Alaia, what he will do and how this will look like. I'm very curious to see, but I don't know what Versace can say at this point because it's such a specific aesthetic for so long
Yeah.
that should it shift to something else, and what would that something else be? What kind of woman the new Versace woman will look like? Similar to the previous one, but in a different way? I don't know. Like, I have no clue. What about you? What do you think? Do you have an idea of what direction he's going to take?
Yeah, I was speculating because I think that like Versace, what they're going for now is they kind of want the typical like Versace thing, like the whole Miami clientele, rich woman at a casino, Monaco Grand Prix sort of
Like,
vibe. So they want to go down that direction, but just make it more clean. So I think that if that's the case, Pieter Mulier can do that. But I just don't think that will work commercially. Like, I can tell that they want to go in that direction. I don't think it will work though.
yeah, Versace, but cleaner. I mean, if you remove too much from Versace, it's not Versace also anymore. Yeah, I don't know. It's a brand I'm not following for a long time now because it's not part of my aesthetic. But I mean, she has been doing well, continuing what her brother was doing in a simpler way, and she has done this for so many years. I don't know if they were selling a lot. Do you have any idea about that? How Versace was doing?
They were doing, I do, they were doing terribly.
Ah, really?
Yeah, I've talked about some of their figures. I can bring up some of the stats actually. Give me 1 second.
They were doing terribly, even though I would say it's one of the very few brands that does like sexy, in that Miami, as you said, kind of this kind of women kind of way, but there are not many brands that do that. So I'm surprised that it's not selling.
Yeah, it wasn't selling well at all.
I mean, I don't imagine who is selling then, like a more sophisticated woman, because I don't see that many of those. I mean, if I talk about the majority of what women would choose to buy, they would go towards sexy most often. It's
I
it is surprising.
remember,
Well,
was it this article? I think it's this one. Aha, yeah. Brand revenues declined 15% to 193 million in fiscal 2025. In fact, the label has posted quarterly revenue and profit losses since Q3 2024. So yeah, financially they've been struggling.
yeah.
So they need someone to come in and just like revamp the whole thing. But how many brands of like those like big luxury brands do they want to like be relevant? It's just not possible for all of them to be relevant at the
Exactly.
same
It's
time.
not possible to be, yeah. I think Versace, in my opinion, Versace, should be remembered in the history at this point. I don't see any point in.
Yeah.
McQueen was the same to me. I mean, Sarah Burton, yes, okay, to a degree, but I mean, now it's an embarrassment.
Yeah, I
So,
think now they just need to pack it in with McQueen, to be honest. They need to let that one go.
yes, they need to. Another brand that is also very underrated is Ferragamo.
Yes, I've been talking about Maximilian a lot on social media.
Yes, it's a shame because he does good collections and I like what he does at Ferragamo.
Why do you think his collections fly so under the radar?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I guess this is like a politics thing in the fashion industry. It's like he's not promoted enough, but I think he's the woman he wants to create for Ferragamo. I find very interesting. I don't know. It's like I don't understand why.
Right.
He has been doing consistent work. Everything is very well made. It's like interesting silhouettes, very contemporary, nice colorways, beautiful fabrics. I mean, many brands do that and they do well. Why not Ferragamo?
And
I don't.
unfortunately, like because when I posted about Maximilian Davis on Instagram, a lot of people didn't even know who he was.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, because obviously my Instagram audience is a bit more novice than like my audience on like YouTube, I would say.
Yes.
So like, my Instagram audience, if I post about most designers, they're gonna be like, there's gonna be a lot of people that will be like, oh, I don't know who this is. So they were like, I thought Ferragamo was like the belt was a belt brand. That's what people said on Instagram.
But what? That it is a what? A belt
A
brand.
belt brand, because you remember the time when those belts were like really
Oh my
popular,
god.
the Ferragamo belts.
Oh
I
my
was like,
god.
wow, these brands have a lot of work to do.
So interesting. Oh, that's
If people associate your whole brand with just making belts, then
oh,
like, yeah, you
wonderful.
you have a lot of work to do on the marketing side.
Ah, yes, yes. Very true. Yeah, I mean, because for a while the brand was dead, so I guess posh ladies would buy like this, all this kind of very classic, maybe bags also.
Yeah, belts and shoes, exactly.
Ah, what a shame. This is, yeah, because it was like in creative direction and something fresh, but now that's here.
Yeah.
I find it very chic, and I don't know. I like what he does a lot.
Yeah, I also like how, because obviously he references the archive really well. Like I like how, you see Maximilian will use like a fish scale, because people might not know this, but like Salvatore Ferragamo himself, he was like obviously used to make shoemaker, was like mainly a shoe designer, and he was known for experimenting with like really alternative fabrics for the time.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that he used to do, he used to start experimenting with like using things like fish skin to make footwear. So Maximilian has this like silhouette of coat sometimes that looks like fish scales that I find really cool, because it's like a cool kickback to the heritage of the brand. So that's always really cool to see. I'm waiting for a Versace bathrobe to come down enough in price so I can get one as a joke. I feel like a Versace bathrobe is kind of like one of those prerequisites of like, I've made it in life. You know, all those like crypto bro scammers. When I think of a crypto bro scammer, I just think of like Versace robe in Dubai. That's like the image in my mind. At least they know the belts. That's funny. Oh gosh, that's funny. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club, where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.